All right, so since this is Shots with a Big Shot, tell us a little bit about what you're drinking. Is it your favorite, or is there any other significance to it?
I'm drinking Coors Light today. I'm a beer guy. I like beer, so that's normally what I drink.
And what made you decide to pursue marketing and advertising as a career?
I would say, actually, I majored in marketing and management in college at Eastern, and was one of those probably rare people that declared a major when I was a freshman and stayed with it all the way through. And the marketing piece is just something I always wanted to do.
And what was your first job, and has it had any effect on your career?
Depends on if you want to call it a real job or not. My first job had a profound effect on my career because it was an internship at Kentucky Derby Festival.
Wow.
In 1987. So that'll date me for sure. But anyway, but my first real paying job was for a company called Education Associates in Frankfurt, and I was marketing distribution coordinator for them. And I would say that it did have an effect. It kind of got me used to the workplace and correspondence with clients and that sort of thing.
And this is a bit of a touchy question, but what has been one mistake you've made in your career or in a project, and how did you overcome it?
I'm not a very patient person, so there have been times when I have probably been reactionary rather than being more patient and waiting for a problem to be solved rather than jumping into it too quickly.
And on the flip side of that, what are some things that you see companies doing right? And if you have any examples.
I think a lot of the companies that we work with do it very well. Some of the companies that they will put together, for instance, some of the things that we're doing with McDonald's on Thunder Funder. There's an activation plan from the advertising side, which includes media, which includes a lot of different forms of advertising, but at the same time they're tying into a community event. On the PR side, we do an event that's a huge community relations event, and work with McDonald's. There are McDonald's personnel there. There's face painting for the kids. There's public appearances. There's all kinds of things that go into that. And I think that the companies that are doing it best are taking time to activate the sponsorships, and they are paying attention to specific details that are going to make them successful.
All right, so we now know that you were an intern at Kentucky Derby Festival in '87. So how did you find your way back to Kentucky Derby Festival?
When I interned at Kentucky Derby Festival in 1987, there were 7 people on staff. And in September 1988, the CEO at the time, Dan Mangent, I knew his son. His son was my fraternity little brother in Sigma Chi at Eastern. And so, long story short, Dan contacted me and said, would you be interested in coming in to interview for an assistant marketing director position? There really wasn't an assistant marketing director position, so I ended up being an events manager for the first 2 years, and did operations and logistics and event production for 2 years. It was for the '89 festival and the 1990 festival. And then I worked there for 10 years after that for Dan. So then left, and I was in media for 7 years. And then they asked me to come back in 2005 in a senior position. So I've been back since 2005.
Great.
So collectively 17 years I've been with the festival.
Wow. And what is the most or some of the most challenging aspects of your job?
The most challenging aspects is actually selling the sponsorships, finding the support from the sponsors, not only locally, regionally, but also nationally. That is by far the hardest part of what we do. I have a group of 5 people that we work year-round on trying to find sponsors for the festival. We have usually between 375 and 400 sponsors a year for the festival, and we're responsible for 50% of the annual budget. So we have to raise about $3 million a year to support all the events, including Thunder and the parade and all the other things that the community is used to. And that's challenging, and if you raise all the money that you need and the events go off and everything's fully funded, then the community is happy. But if you fail, it's very highly visible. So the pressure, there's a lot of pressure to make sure that the community gets the celebration that it's used to.
What do you find to be one of the most rewarding aspects of your career? And maybe you've just answered that. Maybe it's seeing the community.
It is. I think it is. It is the pride that you take in doing something that very few others do. Putting on a world-class party in our city, I think.
Where do you find inspiration for these events or for new events?
We have a process that we have a committee of a fairly large committee that is called New Event and Review, and every year we'll get between probably 25 and 30 applications for events to come on the schedule for the Kentucky Derby Festival. But in other cases, we'll go to celebrations all over the country, and we'll borrow or steal ideas from them on events. The bed races, for instance, was first done at a festival down in Florida. It's also been done in San Francisco way before that. We've had it here for 20 years. But events like that work well in other cities, and we think that we can produce those and become a part of the celebration.
What is something that you know now that you wished you'd known at the beginning of your career?
I would say that to always look forward, to make sure you follow up, there are several things, to make sure you follow up, to make sure that you are, you take the high road. Any time you can, any chance you get to take the high road, because you never know in 5 years if you're going to need a contact with a certain person, or if you're going to need to network, or if there's something that's going to happen that you're going to be able to further your career.
Now, we know you don't have much of this right now, but when you do, what do you like to do in your free time?
I like to go to Lake Cumberland and boat. We have a place on the lake, and so we like to go down there, spend time with my family, my wife and 2 daughters, and one is 15 and the other is 10. So anytime that we get a chance to go down to the lake and get on the boat, get out on the boat, we do.
A few quick, easy questions. Favorite movie?
The Godfather.
Favorite food?
Oh gosh, probably a good pizza.
And favorite book?
The Art of War.
After you're retired, how would you like people to remember you?
I think as a person who likes to give back to the community, that tried to maintain the equity that the community has in the community celebration that is the Kentucky Derby Festival, and just to be recognized as a good person and a fun person.
The Kentucky Derby Festival is one of the biggest events in the entire state. So can you give us an idea of the type of preparation it takes to organize and execute?
We have 23 full-time staff members at the festival. We have 4,000 volunteers that some work all year round on events, some will just work for a couple of months on different events. We have a 75-member board of directors. I've already mentioned we have 400 corporate sponsors. So the amount of preparation that it takes to produce 70 events in 3 weeks, there's a huge amount of preparation. We work all year to do it. The most disheartening thing that can happen is last year we had 3 weeks of rain. But it's inspirational when it all comes together and the sun shines for 3 weeks, and which we hope is going to happen this year. All the preparation and all the hours and the time that you put in it is paid forward.
And now, out of all of the events, do you have a personal favorite? Can you even say if you do have a personal favorite?
There are a couple of events that are my favorites. I like the Balloon Fest, the U.S. Bank Balloon Fest. There are now 5 balloon events within that. What used to be just a great balloon race, but now there are 5 events. And once again, given good weather, I like that one a lot. I like to see the families and the kids come out, and that one's a good one. The other one that I really like, believe it or not, is the They're Off Luncheon. Part of the reason is I used to coordinate the They're Off Luncheon when I was an events manager, when I first started at the festival. And it is 1,800 people on the Friday before Thunder, and we usually have a guest speaker. This year it's Aaron Andrews from ESPN. But it's just a neat event to get everybody pumped up for Derby Festival.
How has the Kentucky Derby Festival changed over time, or modernized, and how many new events?
Oh wow, it's changed a lot. As I mentioned, when I first started, we ended up having, I think, 9 people on staff that year, and now we're up to 23. We had, I remember during the 90s, one of the milestones that we passed was we passed over $1 million in corporate sponsorship, and that was a big deal at that time. And now we're up to around $3 million. It's changed a lot. The number of events that we produce has increased a lot, but the traditional events like the parade and like the balloon race and the mini marathon has grown. 5 years ago, the mini marathon was about 8,700 runners. This year, it's 18,000. So phenomenal growth in some of our core events. The chow wagons have changed a lot. We used to have 3 chow wagons all over town, and now we have just the one big chow wagon, and we've added the Great Lawn, Kroger's Festiville, and the National Concert. So that one is drastically changed. Changed a lot over the course of time, I would say.
And finally, why are you a member of Louisville AdFed? And what would you say to others who may be thinking about joining?
I think the AdFed's a great organization. I've been involved in membership for over 20 years with the AdFed. As far as networking, I think it's second to none. You feel at home with, or at least I do, with the advertising and marketing people, and it's the organization to be a part of if you're in advertising and marketing in Louisville. And I truly believe that, and I've met a lot of friends. I've gotten to know a lot of people through AdFed over the course of time, and I would highly recommend it. I think it's the growth that's taken place with the gaps in the last couple of years, and all the things developmentally that we're doing with the younger members, I think, is outstanding, and I just think it's a great organization.